My name is Armando Ortega, and I'm the Director of Product Marketing at Replicon. And again, I want to thank everyone for taking the time to join us for today's webinar entitled Step into the Modern Age of Time and Attendance, which will feature a live demo and a Q&A. Today I'm joined by my colleague Scott Bales, who's the Director of Solution Engineering at Replicon. And in today's webinar, we'll be discussing some of the key trends and the innovations in the time and attendance space, some of the trends that are helping companies get more value out of this technology. So we'll discuss some of these trends and then actually see them in action through a product demo. And today's webinar is going to feature a very short 30-minute format to give you a lot of useful information quickly and let you also get on with your day. During the webinar, Scott's going to spend the majority of the time giving a product demonstration, but before that, I'll be giving you a brief overview of Replicon and then some of the emerging trends that we're going to be talking about. Now, before we dive into the program, I wanted to take just a few minutes to go over a few housekeeping items. I wanted to let you know how you can participate in today's webinar. So you'll be kept on mute during the presentation, and this is to allow for more pleasant experience for attendees. However, you can submit your questions at any time during the presentation by using the Q&A text box that's located at the right-hand side of your screen. And then we'll be addressing all the questions at the end of the presentation. Now, without further ado, why don't we go ahead and get started. So let me start off by talking a little about Replicon. So we are the leader in cloud-based time tracking applications. We are used by millions of users around the world to do several things, such as manage their workforce attendance, which would be the main thing that we'll talk about today is the time and attendance piece of our application. But in that, we also help them manage project time, manage programs, professional services organizations, and we'll talk a little bit more about that, how you can expand the platform to do a lot of different things. We are trusted by over 7,800 customers of all sizes around the world. We have large customers such as Xerox, Credit Suisse, Moody's, and we also have a lot of small companies that rely on our solutions. Because our solution is delivered via the cloud, it makes it very easy even for smaller organizations that don't have very large IT departments to be able to use our systems and get benefits out of it. And these are the typical benefits that many of our customers tell us that they get, and these are the ones at a high level that we wanted to share with you today. But one is having greater insight. So by effectively tracking your labor time, you really understand how employees at your organization are spending that time to give you that insight so that you understand how that time is being spent and how you can spend it more productively. We also help lower compliance risk by automating a lot of the regulations and compliance requirements and ensure that those are being met. Things such as FLSA and other regulations that are required by companies to abide by. And then the third point, of course, is about automating processes. So going from typically what companies have is a manual process or many different systems that don't connect, and automating that to get more benefits and more streamlined processes out of that. And so now that I told you a little bit about the company, let's dive into what the topic of the conversation will be for this presentation. So we're not going to go through all of these, but these are some of the 7 trends that we're seeing in the time and attendance technology space. And I actually talked a lot more in depth about these in a webinar I did last month with APA. But we're going to go through as many of these as we can to kind of give you a sense of what are some of the things that we're seeing. So the first few here are, and I'll go through a few of these also more in detail before I hand it over to Scott. But having mobility is a big topic. Usability is huge. Number 2, this concept of a no hardware time clock. I'll talk about that a little bit more. And then more about the technology itself, getting more value out of it for less cost, having flexibility to be able to configure a solution so that it fits your specific business needs, being able to leverage a solution globally in your enterprise. And then the last one, beyond time and attendance, will be an interesting one too, where we talk about other use cases that a time and attendance solution can have for your company. So I'll walk through a few of these. So we talked about usability. A key trend that we're seeing is users are really expecting a better user experience now. So these are the kinds of user experiences and applications that users use at home in their personal lives. So there's this elevated expectation that an enterprise application system should be able to meet that type of experience. So Scott will be demoing our product, and we'll give you a good sense of that kind of experience that we give our users. On mobility, it's about being able to capture information into your time and attendance systems from pretty much many different mediums and forms. So of course we'll have the web front end that we'll be displaying, but also we're increasingly living in a mobile world. In a mobile world, and so employees are using their mobile devices to capture and record time as well. Tablet, we'll be talking about time clocks here in the next segment. For time clocks, Scott's going to be showing a really, really interesting new approach to this. So rather than having a vendor purchase form of hardware, really looking at how do we take the capabilities of a clock and turning into an app that you can use to really leverage tablet technology. Download an app like you would in an app store or Google Play. This would be done, of course, by individuals in the company that have the authority to do that, and turn an ordinary tablet into a fully functioning cloud clock, which is the product that we call, in other words, a time clock to capture that information. This information is captured and fed directly into the main time and attendance application. This was something that had a lot of interest and garnered a lot of questions at the past webinar that we had. And of course, there's a lot of benefits to that, cost savings. Because it's an app, you get more frequent enhancements, and the product continues to improve, which has its own benefits. And because it leverages tablets, you have the ability to easily deploy more of these if you need to in your organization. And then the final point here that I'm going to highlight before I hand it over to Scott is this idea that if you've invested in a time and attendance solution to manage your payroll and your time and attendance, how can you leverage that same platform to also address other needs in the organization that require tracking time, such as tracking time for project-based parts of your business, maybe an IT department that wants to track how much time is being spent across different groups or different projects, or even maybe your R&D department needs to track time spent on development because they want to report back on tax credits that they're eligible to receive, and they need to be able to record that time, but also show and defend with audit trails. So these are just some examples of ways that we can expand the solution. So with that, what I'd like to do now is go ahead and pass it over to Scott so that he can go ahead and walk you through a demo of our product. So over to you, Scott.
Thank you very much, Armando. It's a pleasure to be here today, and I am going to go ahead and share my screen out. Just let me know when that's visible, Armando.
Looks great.
Great. So as Armando pointed out on that one slide regarding Timesheet Anywhere or Replicon Anywhere, what we're going to take a look at today is not just we're not just going to look at a web browser. We are also going to look at a mobile device. I'm going to be able to show that to you today. I'm also going to be able to show you that interaction from that cloud clock. I'll be able to share my screen with you, and we'll see what that interaction looks like to a user who walks up to that device. Now, before we get to those external devices, I'm going to start here in our application. Some of you may be used to some old legacy applications. Our product and many others is not going to require any kind of install. So what we're able to do is just run it from any browser. Now, one thing you do want to be careful of when you're going to a new technology or a new timesheet vendor is that vendor provides this interface through a browser, and it's not limited. You can see that I'm in Chrome. Your organizations may run IE, it may run Firefox, and if you have Mac computers in your organization, likely they're running Safari, and it's important to make sure that your vendor is able to support all of those different browsers. We cannot enforce browser compliance like we used to, where we said, hey, to use our product, you have to use this browser. There's too much competition out there for us to do that, and as a result, Replicon provides a platform that supports all of them. Okay. Now, all of the capabilities here from an end user are available in both the web interface, where I can capture specific spots or sections of time and activities. I can book time off requests from the time off tab within this solution as well. And there's a lot of important things that have been brought to the market based on time off. The ability for a system to calculate your balances real time into the future, so that when I'm booking time off in December of this year, it knows how many days off I will have by December if I'm accruing that. If you need to feed this information to a calendar program, We can send that information electronically over to another calendar so that you don't even have to access the system. You'll get reminders in Outlook if that's where your calendar habits lay. Okay. The interface is also clean and easy to use. So the interfaces have gotten a lot more intuitive over time, and Replicon is making a huge investment in ensuring that that continues to occur. Now, what's also important when you talk about technology is flexibility, and that's really one of the key points of the Cloud Clock device. Here's another timesheet format altogether. Now we're grabbing bulk hours, and Armando mentioned some of the additional pieces that we can track. Maybe there's projects, maybe there's billing values. All of that is flexible within the system, and we can turn it on and off, and that's important from a technology perspective. I'll also point out that automatic overtime calculations are huge. We spend too many hours sitting over timesheets, calculating overtime, time and a half, and double time, especially our colleagues in California that are dealing with California overtime rules, probably the most stringent in the country. And most states are going to be following suit. So it's important to ensure that we have the ability to capture those within the system. The other item we're going to go take a look at is the approvals. So the system can also help there from a technology perspective because it is helping to forward all of these individual approvals through email to approvers in your approval chain. So in that case, users don't have to log in any longer to the system to find out if there's approvals waiting. The system will get back to them and let them know that there are approvals that they need to log in and check on. Again, they can do that through this web interface or through the mobile interfaces that we're going to be taking a look at. Approvals are very quick and easy as well. You can see the specific users, and I can drill down into those users, or alternately, I can just approve right from this level. We want to make that as easy as possible, but still give approvers access to the details, and that's important from a configuration perspective and from a cutting-edge capabilities perspective. That's also something new to the market. Now, obviously, the product is going to help ensure payroll, as a time attend product does. Payroll is going to be presented in a single place. There's no need for you to jump around. We brought all of the capabilities together from a payroll provider perspective into one location in the app, and this is a permission-driven application. So I see payroll because I have permission to do so, and from there, I can administratively look at all the overdue unsubmitted time. I can administratively override those and approve them if I need to. I can see who the slow approvers are by clicking on these quick selects at the top. And if I need to, I can even drill down and see details on this timesheet. Okay. Now, once we're happy with all of that, the Export tab, again, the same location, is going to allow me as a payroll provider or a payroll administrator to get the data out of the system. In this case, we're looking at an ADP extract, but that could be Ceridian, Paychecks, whatever your payroll provider is. We can support that from a payroll perspective. Reporting within the system is important, and what you want to be careful of here and what technology has brought us in the last several years is the ability to not provide canned reports. Canned reports are just, out of the box, this is what it shows you, and you find a report that is close to what you want, and then you take it to Excel and you have to modify it to get the final result. What Replicon does is it provides all the reporting within the system in configurable views. So I could create a new report from scratch, or I can use one of the existing reports, time off balance, for example. After running this, anything I would like to change, the columns, the formatting, the grouping, all of that's available from the settings button. And these are checkboxes and these are drag and drop. This is not something that you need to be a programmer to do. Replicon prides itself on the ease with which users can modify time and time off reporting in the tool. That's not to say we're not here for you if you need it. 24/7 support is maybe something not product related that cutting edge timesheet providers need to have. Remote employees may be doing their timesheets at off hours, and you need that availability to ensure that we're always there for you when you go to run payroll or generate reports or time off liability issues. Now, we've kind of gone through the web interface at a high level. I was in as an admin. Of course, I would have much less if I was an end user. What I'd like to do now is take a second and look at what that might look like if I was a mobile user and I was accessing the application from an iPhone app or our Android app. So as you can see, and this is rendering in an iPhone prototype simulator, as a user, when I access the application, I, again, only see what I have permissions to see within the tool. And from timesheets, I can see all of my historical timesheets in the product. I can also drill down into those specific timesheet periods by clicking them. Once I do that, I can see the details of each day. I can see 3 days here that I have some time off booked. And if I want to click on Wednesday, I can see there's that vacation item that's been booked for that day. I could also choose to add some project or task time by clicking the Add Project Task button, choosing my specific client, project, or task, and then entering time towards it. Okay. Now, it's not limited to timesheets, and I could actually submit and do all of my timesheet entry right from here. I wouldn't need to go back to the web at all, but I could also do my time off. If I want to add a time off request, I can simply indicate that. I can indicate what the start date is going to be. I can indicate what the end date is going to be. And then the system remembers that and books my request, allows me to submit it right from here. Okay. You can see all my previous bookings and their statuses. And last but not least is approvals. So as an approver, it's important for me to get that mobile interface as well, because I would say that the majority of our mobile usage is for approvals. Executives and supervisors are busy. They don't have time to stop what they're doing and go into an application to do approvals. From here, I can quickly see all the approvals I have waiting, and I can drill down into my timesheet approvals. I can select all of them if I want and approve down at the bottom, or reject with comments. If I need to, I could also do that one at a time. Okay. Same holds true for time off requests. I can do those requests very quickly, en masse, or I can choose to drill down into them and get the details of each of those approvals. Now that represents the mobile app. What I want to do now is take a second and see if we can get the Cloud Clock app up and working. Okay, I apologize that you're seeing my mug, but I'm glad it's working. So what we're looking at now is a representation of that tablet screen. It's actually on my tablet. I'm broadcasting it here into the webinar. And this is the view that users would see as they walk up the tablet to punch in for the day. Okay. So what I'm going to do as a user, I have my QR card here. I'm going to take this QR card. Every user in your organization is going to have one. I'm going to take that card. I'm going to walk up to the device. I'm going to hold it up. The device is going to capture it. And now you can see it's asking me what I'm doing. How am I punching in? Vincent Vega is actually clocking in right now. So I'm going to go ahead and clock in. And when I push the clock in button, what it's doing is it's taking my picture. So it takes my picture and it stores it. Okay. So that's what's going to allow us to track users from a facial recognition perspective. I shouldn't say facial recognition, but from a buddy punching prevention perspective, and allow or prevent your friends from getting them into the organization on your behalf. Now, that Cloud Clock device is simply a tablet application. I just have to install install the application and log in. So that is it's just a mobile application. It's available in both the Google Store, Google Play, and the Apple iPhone Store. And that application It's just a simple install. You download it, and it updates just like all the other apps on your phone. So you won't have to worry about it being a legacy version. It will always be up to date, always be current. And it's doing that. It's actually doing that in the background from an iOS and Android perspective. It's updating without you to even do anything. So again, we've taken a look at the web interface. We've also taken a look at the mobile interface, as well as the tablet interface and the cloud clock. And I think we're probably going to have a lot of questions. So I just want to kind of stop now and pass it back to you, Armando, and tackle any questions that may